Hi guys, hi YouTubers, hi fellows.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining. We will wait one more minute so that more participants can join and then we will start. Okay, so welcome to today's webinar, New GravityZone MSP Technologies for Attack Resilience. You will see how a new Bitdefender endpoint detection and response product, new ransomware mitigation, and enhanced risk analytics help MSPs ensure cyber resilience for their own and customers' infrastructures. My name is Ana Diaconu. I am a marketing program manager at Bitdefender and will be your host today. It is my pleasure to welcome our speakers, Cristian Iordache, who is a senior product marketing manager and has been in the security industry for almost 10 years, helping SMBs and MSPs stay safe against evolving attacks. And we initially announced Catalina Hușanu, but due to some personal reasons, she could not join today. So Yaser Fuentes, Cloud and MSP Solutions Architect, will drive us through the demo part. Before we start, a few housekeeping rules. Please note that you are muted as we are recording this webinar. We will provide access to the recording within the next couple of days after this session. And we encourage you throughout the webinar to ask your questions in the Q&A pane, as we will host a Q&A at the end of the webinar. And now, over to you, Christy. So, Christy, will you take over now the presentation? We can't hear you at the moment.
Ah, thank you, Anna, and
Okay, now
hello,
we hear you.
everyone. Perfect, perfect. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. I was mentioning that I have some connection difficulties, so Anna, please let me know if there's something wrong with the audio quality. So today we are going to talk about the importance of cyber resilience and um, and the challenges and how you can achieve cyber resilience. And we'll focus on two new capabilities that have been just released by Bitdefender. So first, a new Bitdefender EDR product, and then a new Bitdefender ransomware mitigation functionality. After this, my colleague Yasser will take you through a demo where you can see some of this functionality in action, and you can understand how it makes a difference. And of course, towards the end of the session, we look forward to taking all of your questions. So let's move forward. Looking at cyber resilience, we can define cyber resilience as the ability to withstand adverse cyber events and to be able to recover with minimum disruption. So AV and prevention alone is no longer able to stop most of the sophisticated attacks. And you have to assume, this is a new security paradigm, you have to assume that a breach will happen for your infrastructure or for your customers and prepare for this worst case scenario. Now, in case you are not prepared for this scenario, the consequences, and you rely solely on prevention, the consequences can be crippling. So that's why the consensus in the industry with security analysts, with analyst firms and experts is that endpoint detection and response is becoming an essential tool. And you can see this reflected even in the frameworks from Gartner, from Forrester, or the one that you have on screen from NIST, which are available even for small and mid-sized organizations. So these frameworks include the prevention side, but they also include detection and response as important functions that need to be performed in order to be able to withstand attacks. Now, EDR has been adopted in the past years consistently and continuously. But one thing that is making the adoption even more urgent is the new environment with increased digitalization, with work from home, with APTs, as we'll see, that are being used against companies. And the result of this is that you have a larger attack surface and more companies that are vulnerable to advanced ransomware and data breaches. So as I mentioned, one of the things that we're seeing is a rise in APTs and APT as a service, so advanced persistent threats. And these type of threats are starting to be used even against companies, against smaller companies, and they are no longer just reserved for nation-state attacks or nation-level attack groups. So one of the recent investigations by Bitdefender that you might have seen has exposed such an APT, which was being used to spy on an architecture firm. So this was, I will let you look to the Bitdefender investigation for more details, but this was uncovered thanks to the Bitdefender EDR functionality. And we're seeing that this type of threats that are being commoditized and are being made available for those that can pay are increasing. So we see this with ransomware as a service and with malware as a service. So why is EDR essential for resilience? First of all, it helps uncover the attack chain, and it helps provide visibility into what is happening on the endpoint and on the network. So here on screen, you have an example of a more sophisticated threat, which includes several stages. It will go from reconnaissance through delivery, through installation, and finally action on objectives. So while AV or EPP solutions have the goal of preventing the attack in the early stages, EDR has the goal of detecting the techniques and the tactics that are used by these threats to evade detection. They are used to escalate privileges, or they are used, for example, to move laterally and to find the valuable data that they seek. So the goal of EDR is to stop these advanced threats before they turn into data breaches or before the attacker can achieve their objective. Of course, it's important also in reducing the cost of investigation, the cost of responding and recovering after an incident. If you rely only on prevention, you'll be left uncovered when you need to understand what is happening in an incident. And last but not least, you can use EDR as a way to support compliance audits and to identify attack impact. So you're able to say the personal records were affected or were not affected and show the full extent and impact of an attack. So moving forward, Bitdefender provides and has been providing for some years a complete solution under Bitdefender GravityZone that is designed for MSPs and includes risk analytics and hardening to reduce the attack surface area. It includes next-gen AV. It includes detection and response, and services such as MDR with one single console, one single agent. So you can imagine that this approach is very advantageous because it helps streamline security tasks when you have all the layers under one security management console. And it provides the granular options and the comprehensive layers that you need to cover all of the essential stages of an attack. Of course, you can consolidate security controls, and you can breach any security gaps by turning to the managed detection and response services from Bitdefender. Now, what I will talk about next is a new Bitdefender EDR product that we have recently made available for MSPs as well. So the new Bitdefender EDR product is a standalone product that can be installed alongside third-party AV or endpoint security products. So it's easy to deploy, and it uses a new lightweight agent. And you use the same GravityZone console that some of you might be familiar with to deploy the new product. Now, here you have a view. Some of you might be already familiar with the GravityZone MSP console. Here you have a view of how you can activate the new Bitdefender EDR product. And you will look under the product type and select Bitdefender EDR. If you have customers that are using a different endpoint security solution that you cannot or you don't want to uninstall for the moment. So the new product is a quick way to strengthen protection, to gain visibility, to gain cyber resilience without going to the trouble of removing the installed AV or endpoint security solution that is already there. So what are the benefits for MSPs? So the main benefit is it helps you become resilient to attacks and be prepared for more advanced attacks. It helps you gain new business. It helps you gain more visibility and support compliance. And of course, you can leverage the additional Bitdefender prevention layers by upgrading to the full GravityZone MSP suite. So one of the questions that we've gotten recently is how does Bitdefender EDR compare to other next-gen solutions or to other EDR solutions out there on the market? So Bitdefender EDR has ranked first for the number of contextual attack detections and for having the most complete attack coverage in the recent MITRE attack evaluation, which is the key test for EDR tools and for APT detection. So what this means is that Bitdefender has been able to show these actionable detections, which reveal what is happening, why it is happening, and how it is happening. And this is valuable because it doesn't involve a lot of time going through data that is raw, going through and having to analyze raw data to figure out what is happening. So we have proven effective detection. We have extra machine learning and behavioral technologies that are included with Bitdefender EDR. And this includes event correlation, it includes sandbox analyzer, it includes command line scanner and other technologies that Bitdefender has been perfecting throughout the years. And they are all providing reports, but they are not blocking incidents. Also, you have easier investigation and response with MITRE event tagging and suggested response steps that help you figure out what are the next best steps to take. And you have a host of response options, such as isolating endpoints, looking up particular files, or doing an analysis or a remote shell to an infected endpoint. The inclusion of Bitdefender Risk Analytics with the standalone Bitdefender EDR ensures you can get a quick view of the security posture, and you can improve the security posture for your customers based on the information provided. And of course, it's also simple to upgrade to the full GravityZone MSP suite, and you gain unified hardening, endpoint protection, and EDR. So one of the acknowledgements of the value of Bitdefender EDR also came this year from the Forrester Wave report on endpoint detection and response, and Bitdefender was considered the biggest EDR vendor that you haven't considered but should have in this report. And you can find more details about the MITRE evaluation here in these links, but also about the Forrester Wave report with some of the criteria that you need to look at when choosing an EDR solution. So next, I will talk about another feature that is important for cyber resilience and that we've just added with the Bitdefender product and made available for MSP. So ransomware mitigation helps organizations recover after a ransomware attack by restoring the files that were encrypted in the attack. It's available in the core MSP product without additional cost. So if you are a Bitdefender MSP, you can check the console and you will look under the policies anti-malware, and you will be able to already activate ransomware mitigation, and you'll be able to gain more peace of mind that should an attack happen and should files be encrypted, you will be able to restore them. Now, of course, ransomware mitigation comes on top of an extensive and comprehensive set of layers that are designed to reduce the attack surface, are designed to prevent attacks, to detect ransomware attacks, but this is an added layer of offering peace of mind. So unlike similar technologies on the market, what is different with Bitdefender ransomware mitigation is the fact that it's tamper-proof. So backup copies are secured against techniques that we've seen ransomware take, such as trying to delete shadow copies. You can stop attacks also that are not coming from endpoints protected by Bitdefender. So you can protect, for example, file shares and restore the copies. And as I've mentioned, this feature provides additional value and is included without any extra charges within the core Bitdefender product. So moving on, the executive summary dashboard is one new feature that I just wanted to mention. It's not necessarily related to cyber resilience, but it's important in providing visibility and in helping MSPs see at a quick glance what is happening in their customers' network. So this new functionality has also been made available following the latest November release. So if you are already using Bitdefender, you can open the console and start benefiting from this new dashboard that is available. So with this, we go over to Yasser for the demo part of this session. So over to you, Yasser.
Sounds good. Thank you, Christy. And let me share my screen real quick. Let me know when you can see it, Christy, so I can confirm that I'm good.
We don't
Right.
see it.
I
We
cannot
see
see
your
it.
your background screen at the moment.
Hold on.
Now, yeah.
Is it coming up?
We see your screen.
Okay, awesome. All righty.
The
Well,
wallpaper. We see the wallpaper still.
hold on a second. What about now?
So we see your screen. I don't know if you have any window open, but if it's just the desktop, then we see it.
Okay, can you
Okay,
see?
Yes, now.
now we can see
Okay,
it. Yeah.
okay, good, good. I don't know what's going on, but it seems that it's sharing the wrong screen. So, so basically what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to demonstrate first in our preventative side the ransomware mitigation technology, just to show you how it works. And for this example, basically what I did is I placed everything in permissive mode, meaning that the anti-malware framework is mainly set to take no action, only using this complementary layer of protection. Um, as you mentioned, Christy, it's good to refresh. This is a technology that is available and can be found in any of our policies and under on execute, which means ATC, and is complementary. So basically, when our preventative layers cannot stop the ransomware, stop that threat that is already executed, it can go ahead and just take action by itself. And it's not compensating just for the sake of recovering the files. It's not a reactive technology. Is also stopping the ransomware. It's also stopping the threat. So that's always good to mention. So in this example, what I have is pretty simple. This is a user. I have received an email from an impersonator, just a best guide practice, somebody that looks to be in my domain, so why not to trust that person is talking to me in a language that it looks pretty credible. So I went ahead and just saved that file and open it here. So
Yes, just to interrupt you quickly, I think we're not seeing the main screen anymore. Can you see it, Anna?
No, I see a wallpaper again.
very interesting. Hold on. I don't know why it's switching back and forth. Okay, what about now?
Now we see a word.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, good. Yeah, hopefully GoToMeeting keeps behaving in a good way. GoToWebinar, sorry. So basically, this is the file that I received via email from that user. If we, of course, check out the macros, it's going to have some malicious code on it to basically go to a command and control center and download a thread. This is old school type of ransomware. As a vector, but it's still being used, especially right now that we have a lot of folks working from home because of COVID. This kind of like came back, and we continue to see more attacks in this fashion. So I'm going to go ahead and just enable the content to make sure that to allow that the macro to run. And in a couple of seconds, you can see that the anti-ransomware technology is going to kick in. You can see also some detections from the anti-malware as well. Maybe some modifications on the files that I have, things that I have on my desktop, and so on. So now it looks like there's some sort of compromise on the system. If I transfer over to my console in GravityZone, I can show you the modifications of that threat. So basically, if I go to reports and ransomware activity, I can show the information on this computer right here. And you can see the files that were compromised and the files that were restored automatically, because that's the way I set it up. So basically, you don't have to wait and come to the console and restore it on demand, which is another option. We can take care of that for you. So we can proactively restore anything that was compromised during that attack, right? Also, you have options for notifications whenever such a threat kicks in. So basically, you have the option to show in the console ransomware detections, and anytime that the ransomware mitigation technology is triggered, you're going to see that alert there, or you can send this via email as well. The reason why in the policies we have the option to basically use this on demand, being able to restore on demand, is because some systems might be able to, I'm gonna open this policy, might be, I don't know, using some sort of encryption technology on production, and we don't want to be disruptive on that regard. So basically you have the option to whether or not recover the files either automatically or on demand. I'm gonna also try something else. The object that I run on this test is real malware. So this is sudden. It's real malware. It's not a testing sample or anything. But if I have something else that maybe, it's a targeted attack, and maybe they're targeting specific shares within the system or specific folders and so on, I can go ahead and just do it as well. And you'll be able to see that we can also recover that as well, right? So there's no modifications that we cannot restore. We restore almost instantly. And again, if we go back to GravityZone Control Center, probably within a couple of seconds, we can see the files that were modified in this attempt as well. So it's an automatic technology. Now, besides that, we talk about EDR. The way that I see EDR, and there's still a lot of confusion about this, is it's a it's a detective and responsive type of control. So it allows you to detect and to investigate and to take action over things that you cannot normally prevent. Why? Because these files or these objects are not in malware in nature. And that's the case for many APTs or advanced persistent threats, right? So, and that's actually the reason why we see so many data breaches today, is because most of the users or the companies, they don't have the way to go over incident management in such a consolidated way. So this is a representation of the incident that just took place. And you can see here the root cause analysis, basically from the beginning to the end. You can see the computer that got compromised. You can see the file that triggered the first detections on the malicious side, and then pretty much everything else that I executed and tried to modify as well. Also, if I want to validate the incident, and this is something that is crucial in security incident management, I have the sandbox analyzer acting as a forensic tool. So in this case, and in the case of the EDR standalone, it's not going to be a preventative control anymore. So it's not going to prevent that threat from executing, but it's going to definitely get it and generate a forensic analysis based on that. So why is this important? Again, for validation, I don't need to look at anywhere else to confirm that this is in fact malware, that this is in fact ransomware. I can go through this report from beginning to the end, looking at techniques that are used on this specific payload, even how it evades the detection with some raised reentries. I can also look at system changes that it performed, even indicators of compromise. And if you're not into threat hunting, just to keep it on the easy and simple side, we can go to the graphical representation of it. And you can see from the moment that it was executed, how many command and control center connections it attempted to, also how it leveraged PowerShell to compromise the system, and finally the screenshot confirming that that is ransomware. So this is the go-to resource when it comes to that validation. And I can go ahead and just from here to kill that process if it's still running. Of course, in that case, the ransomware mitigation technology or module stopped it already, so it's not going to be running, but I can kill it. I can kill any other process that might be running on that system at the moment. Anything that looks suspicious or malicious, I can do it as well. And if there's any false positive, which can happen in our world as well, I can just go ahead and add an exception for the file as well. So that's pretty much the options that we have once we have validated that this is a threat. And last but not the least, you have the option to also isolate this computer from the network, which is really important and crucial, I would say, for the incident containment phase. So that way you make sure that this computer is not connected to your local network, to the internet, and nobody else gets infected or exposed. And then from there, using Bitdefender, you can perform a remote shell just to validate if there's any leftovers in there. So even though we perform some remediation, even though we have taken action, you can go ahead and just look at running processes, see if there's any remainings. And if there's any, you can go ahead and kill them. You can go ahead and just remediate them using different commands. And once you're done, you just end the session, go back, restore the access to that computer to the network, and that's pretty much it. So notice here that Bitdefender EDR, even though it can go really deep into investigation, into threat hunting, is very easy to use. You need to be an expert to understand what's going on here, and much less to take over this incident. I was telling Christy before we jump into this session that a couple of months ago, I participated on an investigation for a targeted attack, and it was quite sensitive incident because it involved a couple of organizations, and just using EDR, we were able to determine how the attack happened, the vectors that they explore, techniques, pretty much everything that they did on the infrastructure. So we didn't have to look at anywhere else to be able to detect and formulate a response on that particular incident. And with that said, that's pretty much it from my side. Go back to you, Christy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Yasser. Great demo. And I see a lot of questions coming, so keep them coming. Let me just share my screen a little bit. Let me make myself presenter first. Okay. So just, you can see my screen right now?
Yes,
Yes,
we can.
Okay, perfect. So just looking at the quick or the key takeaways after this session, it's very important to look at EDR and to look at resilience in order to avoid getting caught off guard by attacks, and especially the more sophisticated threats, the ones that, as Yasser mentioned earlier, they're not necessarily relying on malware. They might not necessarily be coming from an external attacker. In some cases, it's coming from the inside the network. So it's very important to add this layer to become resilient. So Bitdefender EDR provides proven effective detection, and we focus a lot on simplifying, and this is a focus for the future as well, simplifying as much as possible the investigation and response. You can deploy the lightweight Bitdefender EDR if you are using today, or if some of your customers are using a third-party AV or EPP that you don't want to remove. I've seen some of the questions, and some of you were asking about the differences between the new EDR and the already existing EDR functionality. So it's the same technology. The difference is you're able to deploy this new EDR SKU alongside other AV or AVP solutions. And of course, for our customers, for most customers, we recommend that you deploy EDR alongside Bitdefender prevention technologies. So on top of EDR, you can also leverage the new ransomware mitigation capability that Yasser has just shown, and this provides another layer and provides more peace of mind, and is available without extra cost. And you can upgrade from the EDR even if you're first deploying alongside a third-party solution. You can upgrade to the full unified MSP suite and streamline the security management tasks and reduce costs with this option. So our hope is that more and more MSPs will adopt the advanced layers to become resilient to more advanced attacks, and we're seeing this happen. So we're seeing some MSPs making EDR part of the basic or the standard package that is being offered to all of the customers. So this is important for resilience. It's important in fighting attacks and in having the visibility and supporting compliance or supporting investigations, as Yasser mentioned earlier. So with that, thank you very much for joining today's session, and we'll go to the questions. So Yasser, if you see any questions, or Anna, if you want to read them.
Yes, thanks, Christy. So I will start. We do have a lot of questions, which is great, and also enough time left to answer some of them. So the first one would be, okay, so where can I find the MITRE test results that you referenced?
So you can find the MITRE test results, of course, on the MITRE attack website, and you can look for the APT 29 round of testing. You won't see a comparison between vendors, so you'll need to calculate for yourself the score for each vendor, or you can go to the Bitdefender blog and you can see all the scores and details on the MITRE test. And you can also see a webinar that describes how the MITRE tests happen and how Bitdefender performed.
Cool, thank you. I'll go to another question. If I want to deploy Bitdefender, should I use the new EDR product?
I can take that question.
Go ahead, yes.
Yeah, so basically we have two products. We talked about two products here. We have the endpoint protection solution plus EDR, which is part of the MSP suite and has all the frameworks and controls that we offer, and EDR standalone. So if you want to use EDR standalone, it's because you probably have an endpoint protection solution, which you cannot get rid of because you're contracted with a vendor or something, and you need EDR, of course. So in that case, it's a suitable product for that scenario, right? But if we're talking about consolidating multiple layers of protection, anywhere from endpoint protection to EDR, then you can use GravityZone as part of the MSP suite.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Yasser.
Do you want to add anything?
I don't have anything to add. I see a lot of questions still coming in, so apologies to those of you where we won't be able to answer your questions, but I'll try to go through some of them as well. So one question is, this question may be out of scope, but how does Bitdefender risk management compare to a product like Qualys? And does Bitdefender have plans for a product that will scan other network devices? So what I can say is that I'm not very familiar with Qualys, but the Bitdefender Risk Analytics product, and I haven't talked about human risk so much, but it's focused on showing misconfigurations that affect the security posture. It's focused on showing missing patches. It's focused on showing the human risk. So all in all, it's a security posture tool rather than a security risk management tool. I don't know, Yasser, if you have something to add to this.
Just to add to the answer. So the way in which we do risk management is more proactive than a full-blown vulnerability management solution. If you give, let's say, an average SMB or mid-market company something like Qualys, something like Tenable, they might have some challenges understanding how to use it. They might have some challenges understanding how to integrate that to their security function. In our solution, is all in one, is all consolidated, and we focus on the areas that are more important for you to look at. Anywhere from misconfigurations on the operating system side to vulnerable applications, and even the human factor, which cannot be covered in most of the solutions that you mentioned.
Okay, thank you very much, Yasser. So I see some more technical questions that I think you can take.
Yeah. So I believe I was reading here a question. Let me see, about the ransomware mitigation on servers. So just to clarify, what I said about the options is we have the option to restore automatically the modified files, or we have the option to do it on demand. That means you go to the ransomware activity section in the company and the console, and you selectively restore the files. So the reason why I mentioned that we have this option is because in some environments, there might be technologies that encrypt, that they are used to protect data and so on. If by any chance we detect that as a threat, and you set it to automatically, we're going to revert whatever changes happen there. So in such scenario, we allow you to use the on-demand restoring option. So I hope that clarifies the question.
Okay, another question, is EDR included in the current AV Cloud license? So EDR is available as an add-on if you're already using Bitdefender, or it's available as a new SKU if you want to deploy Bitdefender EDR alongside third-party AV or EPP. Give us a few seconds as we scroll through the questions. Georgiana has answered some of your questions in writing during the session. So one question I see was, could you briefly show the parameters of EDR policy page? So I think maybe this is something we can do at another time, right, Yasser?
Yeah, we can definitely cover that in a different session.
Okay, is it possible to restore files automatically under their original file name? I saw that the demo restored was added to the file name. So I think this is a feature request that we've gotten, and for the moment it's not possible to restore them under the original file name, but in the next release it should be possible. Or I may be thinking also about the functionality that was requested to delete the encrypted versions after you restore. Another question on the difference between the new EDR license and the current EDR product or EDR functionality. In terms of protection, in terms of protection technologies, it's the same product. The way that it's delivered is different, and the way that it is packaged. Okay. How much overhead for CPU and disk is EDR generating? I don't know if you know the answer off the top of your head, Yasser, but I know we have a knowledge-based article that mentions this.
Yeah, when it comes to consumption, just at glance, you can find that in our installation guides. That's found in the help and support section within your console. And you can find both the installation guide and the admin guide there. So they can provide you some metrics. And I say at glance because every environment is different, every analysis is different, every instance is different. So we cannot provide a specific metrics on utilization for any component.
Okay, another question, is the webinar recorded? Yes, it is being recorded and you should receive the recording probably tomorrow. In case a customer has an application on cloud, will EDR benefit or GravityZone Elite version is enough? So GravityZone Elite does provide some advanced prevention layers, such as hyperdetect, but it does not include the EDR functionality, and this is very useful, as we've seen, in order to be able to be resilient in case attacks do make it past the prevention layers. So it can depend based on the assessment of the risk profile of your customers. So you might have customers that, let's say, they're not storing personal or private data and maybe have a reduced risk. But for most customers, we're seeing that EDR is becoming a necessity. And we're seeing MSPs that are making this move, as we've seen earlier. They are making EDR mandatory for all of their customers.
I also see a couple of questions about where is it that we store the files, what is the logic that we use to back up the files. So I think that if we talk about the specifics, we would have to do another webinar about that because there's many pieces and bolts, included. But when it comes to where, we do it at the endpoint. So Bitdefender doesn't collect any data from your end and upload it to the cloud or anything. So everything is done on that local endpoint. Another thing that I can mention on that regard is that we use our own technologies. So we don't use shadow copies like other vendors, which might be a little bit difficult to work with which takes an infinite amount of space. So we use our own logic and our own technology for it. Another question that I got here, it's probably on the confusion side a little bit. So it says that if the ransomware mitigation technology acts automatically and take over the threat, it deletes it or the threat continues to be there. So I started explaining that this is a compensating security control. In my experience, it's very unlikely that any preceding layer that we talked through, like on-access scanning, which is the antivirus, anti-malware, hyperdetect, or sandbox analyzer, even ATC cannot prevent. So it would be really, really unlikely, especially for ransomware. But in case that fails, we use this technology as a compensating control. So just to cover where they cannot pick up, right? But in the case of the question, yes, this is not a technology that deletes the threat. Probably in the near future, we can look at once we restore, or in the meantime that we restore, we can go ahead and just delete the object. However, since you have EDR, you can definitely take action on the payload and on the malicious files or objects in the meantime that we restored everything. So you have alternative while we make that happen.
Okay, thank you, Yasser. Another question is, where can we find a simple chart showing what features are included in each license level? So you'll be able to find this on the Bitdefender website, showing the key features and key modules. Hello, how can I check that my console has already activated EDR? Do you want to take this?
Yeah.
Yes.
So when it comes to checking that you have EDR, if we're talking about an MSP console, you all are going to have that option. But the best way to check is to go to the companies section on the left-hand side and click on top of companies, and then you can see your tenants and make sure that they have EDR. So it's one of the add-on features that we have all the way at the bottom checked. If we're talking about a client or a tenant company using any other license that is not MSP, then you go to your company and you would check the licenses. And it's pretty simple because in that case, once you have an Ultra license, which is the one that includes EDR, you'll be able to see the incident section in the console. So it's kind of like an all or nothing. Another way to check, and the last one that I'm going to mention is you can go to network packages and you can look for the package. And if it has the EDR sensor or the EDR component there, the module, then that means that you have EDR. So just a couple of hints on how you validate that. And I want to take over a last question. I don't know how much time left we have, but uh, it seems that there's a question here for public cloud. So it says if a customer develops school applications and these applications are used by students for their e-learning, this application is loaded into Azure Cloud. The application is on VM, hence in this case, if we offer EDR license for this, VM, will it work? So yes, you can use this component anywhere. It can be in an instance, it can be in a public cloud, in a private cloud, in a data center. So as long as it's a system, an operating system that we support, we can definitely cover with this module.
Okay, great. Thank you, Yasser. I'll just take one or two more questions. Will there be a copy of this? Yes, there will be a copy. Can we get the questions all answered and emailed to us? Yes, we will reply by email to those questions that we missed. I have clients on the core Bitdefender MSP product. Are all the components of EDR included in the base license or additional cost? So EDR comes with an additional cost, whether it is an add-on available in the standard product or whether it is a separate product. And I think these are all the questions that we have time for right now. And I promise that we'll get back to you, to all of you that we didn't manage to answer by email. So thank you all very much for attending today's session.
Thank you very much, Christy. Thank you, Yasser, and also to Georgiana for helping with the replies to the questions, and you for the presentation. Also, we thank the audience. It was a high participation rate. Thanks for taking the time to join us and talk to us. We will follow up in the upcoming days with the recording. And as also Christy said, to the unanswered questions, we will come back to you via email. In the meantime, we wish you a great rest of the day and a great rest of the week. And we hope to see you in our upcoming webinars. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you need to contact us for further information, you can reach us on the website that's going to be in the description. You can also contact us on our live chat service. You can contact us on the YouTube comments. We'd be more than happy to assist you. You can reach us at acs@cyberservices.com, and the contact numbers are +44 for international dial, and that would be 1704 893 447. You can also reach me on my mobile at 07494 027783. If you need to contact us on any further information about webinars or demos, please let us know, and I and one of the team would be very happy to assist you. Thank you. But please note that when you are coming to us with regard to an educational request, please also send in some form of identification, or if you are a member of staff, say the IT administrator, please send in a letter from the head teacher with a manual signature so that we can apply an educational discount. But please be aware that you may have to buy so many licenses in order to get a discount. Thank you and bye bye.